So whether you're hiking, camping, whatever, a big part of being outdoors, at least in the US, is having a car that can get you to those wild places that you love. For me, that's my Jeep. But lately, we've had a couple of problems with my Jeep here. The AC went out, and then the windows have also stopped going up and down. And it's not the motor because it's all electronics. Like, none of the controls here on this door panel or any of the other door panels will work. So I can't adjust the mirrors. I can't do any of this kind of stuff. In fact, the only window that works is the sunroof. And if you've been to Georgia, especially in the summers, you know that is not ideal, because you may not need the air condition all the time, but you definitely need to be able to roll down the windows and feel some breeze, especially in this humidity. And the most common problem with Jeeps like I have when the windows go bad are the wiring harnesses in the door. So let's get this thing fixed so we can get back out there into the places that we love and not die of heat exhaustion before we even get started hiking. So you can see this wiring harness here, and I mean, it just bends sharp and does it over and over and over and over and over again, right? So what happens, and what's happened here, is the wires will snap eventually. So we're gonna try to fix that today and get everything up and running so the windows can work again, because Maddox and Hudson absolutely have to have the windows coming down when they're in the car with me. So the first thing we got to do is obviously disconnect the battery. You want to do that anytime you're working with electric. So we got some wire, some solder sealers, and a heat gun. And now we just have to pop off that rubber gasket and get to both sides of the broken wire. So when you're doing this, obviously make sure you get the right gauge wire. The forums, when they're talking about this problem, because this is a very common Jeep problem, they're all arguing. They're like, oh, it's 8 gauge. Oh, it's 10 gauge. Oh, no, you're a moron. Like, there's no way it's as small as 10 gauge. It's an 8 gauge thing. Because most likely your wires that are broken are going to be like mine. They're the bigger ones. They're the orange power wire or the black ground wire. And I thought I was going to be clever by just going and getting both, right? Like 8 gauge and 10 gauge, because that was the consensus across like every forum I read. All of those are wrong. So I just had to go get new wire. And for the record, it is 12 gauge. And I measured it. So it is correct. And now we can put that to rest. And you don't have to be sort of like, what the heck? Anyway, when you do it. So the first thing you need to do is take some wire strippers and stick them on here and then strip the wire. And we're going to do that for all the wires that you need fixed. Excuse me, it's quite hot today. Once you get all your wires stripped and pulled back, then you're ready for the next part, which is taking these little heat shrink things and adding them to your wiring. I already did one, and the way you go about it is obviously you slide it onto your wire, and then you're going to take and join up the wires by twisting them together so that they'll work. And then once that's done, you move it over to where the solder is on the wire and you heat shrink it down. Super simple process, but let me get to it. Then when you're all done, it'll look something like this. And you just tuck everything back in, turn on your battery, and you're good to go. I did it, I did it, I did it, I did it. So if this happens to your Jeep, super simple. All right, well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed watching me quickly try to fix this Jeep and do it successfully. I'm so surprised with myself, right? But it just goes to show that if you put your mind to it, you can kind of do anything, even if it's out of your comfort zone. So don't be scared to get out there and try stuff, because it may work out. And in situations like this, it's already broken. So what's the worst that's going to happen, right? All right. I hope to see you out there. Bye.